The galaxy held its breath when the Drin first deployed their water tools. No one understood how something as simple as water could become the most feared weapon in the known universe. But the Drin had mastered manipulation at the quantum level, turning the humble H2O molecule into an unstoppable force that could disintegrate matter on contact. Captain Jack Miller of the Earth Defense Fleet watched helplessly as another human colony fell. From his command ship, the Resilient, he observed the blue mist descend upon New Montana, a promising settlement on the outer rim. Within minutes, structures dissolved and terraformed land reverted to barren rock. The evacuation ships managed to save only 30% of the population. "Captain, we're receiving reports that the Drin fleet is changing course," Lieutenant Tom reported, his voice cracking. "They're heading toward Earth." Jack's stomach tightened. Humanity had expanded to dozens of planets over the centuries, but Earth remained their cradle, their heart. If it fell, human civilization might never recover. "How long do we have?" he asked. "At their current speed, 3 weeks. 3 weeks to find a defense against a weapon that violated the fundamental laws of physics as humans understood them." The water tools didn't just destroy. They unmade, reverting complex molecules to their constituent elements while preserving water in its pure form. The Drin harvested the remaining water afterward, leaving nothing but desert behind. In the HFY emergency council meeting that followed, scientists and military leaders argued bitterly. Some proposed evacuating Earth entirely, a logistical impossibility. Others suggested surrender, hoping the Drin might spare their homeworld in exchange for total subjugation. "We can't be the only species facing this threat," Jack said during a rare lull in the shouting. "What about our allies?" Admiral Laura Green, her face lined with exhaustion, shook her head. "The Mevrons fell 6 months ago. The Giro last week. The coalition is fracturing. Everyone's looking out for themselves now." "What about the gods?" "Project?" asked Dr. Alex Williams, a quiet researcher from Luna Base. The room fell silent. The gravitational oscillation defense system had been a theoretical moonshot, deemed too resource-intensive to pursue beyond initial simulations. It proposed creating localized quantum field manipulators that could counteract the water tool's effect by stabilizing molecular bonds. "It was shelved," Admiral Green replied. "Too experimental, too costly." "I've continued working on it," Alex admitted. "Unofficially, with a small team." Jack leaned forward. "And?" "We've made progress, but we need resources and time." They gave Alex everything, the best minds, unlimited resources, and all the time they could spare. Jack was assigned as military liaison. For 18 days he watched the team work around the clock, testing theories and building prototypes while reports of Drin victories continued to arrive. On day 19, Alex called Jack to the primary lab. "We're ready for a field test," she said, gesturing to a device no larger than a shipping container. "This is God's, the deployed version." "That's it?" Jack had expected something grander. "Size isn't everything, Captain." Alex smiled, the first he'd seen from her in weeks. "This houses quantum entanglement matrices that can extend a stabilization field over several kilometers. But we need to test it against the real thing." The plan was dangerously simple. They would deploy the prototype on an abandoned mining outpost in the asteroid belt. Intelligence suggested the Drin would pass nearby on their approach to Earth. If they took the bait, a falsified report of a significant human research facility, they might deploy their water tools, giving Gods its trial by fire. 2 days later, Jack stood beside Alex in a hidden observation post, watching the Drin scout ships approach the outpost. His hands clenched as the telltale blue mist began to form. "Activating Gods," Alex whispered, her fingers dancing across the control panel. At first, nothing seemed to happen. The blue mist descended, touching the outpost's structures. But instead of dissolving, they remained intact. The mist itself began to shimmer oddly, then dissipated completely. "It's working," Alex breathed. The Drin ships circled, confused. They deployed the water tools again with the same result. After a third attempt, they retreated, presumably to report this unexpected development. Word spread rapidly. The Gods' technology worked. As humanity deployed the devices across their remaining territories, other species took notice. The Mevran resistance requested the technology, then the Jural survivors. Soon a coalition reformed, not just to defend, but to reclaim. When the Drin launched their major offensive against Earth, they found not a vulnerable planet, but a world bristling with God's installations. Their water tools dissipated harmlessly against the quantum fields. For the first time, the Drin fleet retreated in disarray. 6 months later, Jack stood on the bridge of the Resilient, now the flagship of a multi-species liberation fleet. Beside him, Alex monitored the Gods network as they approached the first Drin-occupied world they planned to reclaim. "The water they used against us will bring life back to these worlds," she said quietly. "There's a certain poetry to that." Jack nodded. "They feared our water before we understood its power. Now we're bringing it home." As the Liberation Fleet moved into position, the stars seemed to shine a little brighter. The water tools that had once inspired terror now represented hope, a reminder that even the darkest technologies could be overcome when intelligence and determination stood together. The tide, as humans had said for millennia, had turned, and, somewhere in the vast darkness of space, the Drin began to understand what it meant to fear the water they had so carelessly weaponized against the galaxy.